You're watching WKRN, Channel 2.
Good evening, I'm Ken Blackwell, and this is Election 68. The polls are still open in the Channel 8 viewing area. If you haven't voted today, you still have time. If you're in the line to vote at 7 o'clock when the polls are scheduled to close, you will be permitted to cast your ballot. During the course of this evening, Bob Bell and I will be bringing you the results of the balloting in metropolitan Nashville-Davidson County, the Mid-State, and in Tennessee.
News of Tennessee this hour. A Nashville man hijacked a private plane early this morning, and the attempt ended in death for 3 persons in Jacksonville, Florida. Details next on the Eyewitness News.
WSIX-TV, Nashville, Tennessee. This is Eyewitness News, Middle Tennessee's first evening news with Jim Travis, Bob Bell, and Bill Jenkins. Now, here is Jim Travis.
Good evening. State elections officials today estimated that more than half of the state's 2 million registered voters would... Good evening. In tonight's news, the post-election cleanup. That story is next. This is Eyewitness News, Middle Tennessee's first evening news with Jim Travis, Bob Bell, and Bill Jenkins. Now, here is Jim Travis.
Channel 8, Nashville, Tennessee.
Good evening. In Nashville, convictions and an acquittal in parley card operations. That story is next. This is Eyewitness News, Middle Tennessee's first evening news with Jim Travis, Bob Bell, and Bill Jenkins. Now, here is Jim Travis. A federal jury in Nashville has convicted 3 men and acquitted 1 in connection with football parley card betting. Here in Nashville, a shutout for Taylor and Turley and Nashville reaction to Munich.
And in Munich, the Olympic Committee takes away one of our gold medals.
And the weather more the same for tomorrow.
We'll have details of these and other stories next on the 5:30 Eyewitness News.
In Nashville, the powerful one is true.
You're watching the powerhouse of the Mid-South, WNGE2, Nashville, Tennessee.
Dateline today, the 5:30 report with Bob Bell, Joe Toy, Jim Travis, and Wilson Frazier.
Good evening. A mid-morning fire gutted and destroyed 4 apartments at the Lodge apartment complex. Here in Nashville, fire destroys a Metro warehouse during rush hour. We'll have a report.
And we'll talk about sex education in Metro schools.
And in sports, an interview with the Dodgers' Tommy John, a preview of Texas, Arkansas, and the computer predictions on the pros.
After a record-smashing low last night, another evening that's going to put a kick in your step and some frost on the pumpkin.
These stories and more next on Newswatch. Stay tuned. Here in Nashville, 3 persons are shot on a Metro bus.
And a retired fireman is accused of deliberately setting fire to a fire hall.
American League All-Star pitchers have been named, and Bill Battle is in the news again.
We'll have these stories and more next on Newswatch.
WNGE Channel 2, Nashville.
And good morning. Today is Tuesday, August 9th. This morning we'll be discussing the difficulty of losing a child. Good evening, I'm Tom Smith. Stay tuned to Channel 2 for the local news, Newswatch at 6. Tonight we'll have an exclusive interview with a man here who claims he killed 17 people. Bob Donnelly will have another investigative report on possible land fraud in East Tennessee. We'll have an update on the mysterious death of a Nashville baby a month ago. And Andy Garmezy will have an interesting story about a famous old house in our area. All of that and more on Newswatch at 6 on WNGE Channel 2, Nashville.
The heart of the Mid-South. This is Newswatch 2.
Hello, I'm Judd Collins. Here's the news.
This is Newswatch First Edition with Jeff Eller.
And a pleasant Wednesday morning, 50 degrees, clear skies. For the day after the election, our forecast is pretty good, sunshine. So take a look at Echo 2 color radar this morning. We see all clear throughout southern Kentucky and middle Tennessee. In the news this morning, the country has a new president. He is a Republican. His name is Ronald Reagan. He is 69 years old. and it can be only said that he won by a landslide. That's for tonight, and then for tomorrow, partly cloudy and cool with a high in the upper 60s. This morning, we now have 53 degrees and clear skies. That's a look at news and weather. A wrap-up of the election tonight on Newswatch at 6.
TV2 Nashville. From the heart of the Mid-South, this is Newswatch 2, acclaimed by the Associated Press as Tennessee's outstanding newscast.
Hello, I'm Judd Collins. Here's the news. Channel 2 News' Jim Travis reports from Louisville today that the
Nashville. From the heart of the Mid-South, this is Newswatch 2, acclaimed by the Associated Press as Tennessee's outstanding newscast.
Good evening, I'm Tom Smith. No late word tonight on the outcome of an important confrontation between the Cheatham County Board of Education and the teachers there.
I'm Teddy Bart. Coming up on the early edition, drama in and out of the Dr. Nicopolis courtroom today.
I'm Ann Holt, and the brother of a Nashville fugitive goes to court.
Those stories and more on Newswatch Early Edition next.
This is General Electric Broadcasting, Nashville. From Nashville, this is Newswatch 2 at 6. From Nashville, this is Newswatch 2 at 6.
This is Channel 2 News this morning.
Good morning now. On this Tuesday morning, we have clear skies and 28 degrees. Looks like we may have some sunshine early on this morning. Wednesday, mostly sunny, partly sunny at least, milder, a high in the low 60s. That's good news with northwest winds at about 4 to 8 miles an hour. 28 degrees this morning. We have clear skies. The best part of all that is the winds are calm right now, so it's really not too bad out. Some low-lying ground fog could cause some hazards in some spots, so drive carefully. Give yourself a little extra time. That is some of the news and weather this morning. Good Morning America is coming up, and we'll see you back with another update at 8:25. Have a good day.
This is General Electric Broadcasting, Nashville. 150 people working to win you over. This is Channel 2 News at 6.
From WKRN Nashville, this is Channel 2 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Jill McSweeney.
WKRN, Knight Ridder Broadcasting, Nashville. Now, the Mid-South's first evening newscast with Ann Holt, Bob Mueller, Tom Seiler's weather, and sports with Bob Bell. This is Channel 2 News at 5.
Good evening and welcome to our new home. Some call it progress.
To others, it's a homeowner's nightmare.
WKRN, Knight Ridder Broadcasting, Nashville. Now, the Mid-South's first evening newscast with Ann Holt, Bob Mueller, Tom Seiler's weather, and sports with Al Jerkins. This is Channel 2 News at 5.
Good evening.
This is Channel 2 News at 10 with Ann Holt, Bob Mueller, Davis Nolan's weather, and Steve Phillips on sports.
Good evening, everyone. A Robertson County funeral director is facing some unusual charges tonight.
And liftoff. Liftoff. Americans return to space.
The world watched, and it wasn't disappointed.
The United States shuttle program gets off the ground and back into space.
And that story tops this Thursday edition of Channel 2 News at 6.
This is Channel 2 News at 6 with Bob Mueller. Cindy Benson, and Davis Nolan's weather.
The U.S. space program is back in business.
2.5 years after the Challenger disaster, NASA has once again put astronauts into space. The rebirth of the American manned space program happened at 10:37 local time with the launch of the Space Shuttle Discovery.
And now, the news continues on WKRN Channel 2 in Nashville with Cindy Benson, Bob Mueller, and Davis Nolan's weather.
Good evening, I'm Ann Holt, filling in for Bob Mueller, who has the evening off. And I'm Cindy Benson, making news in Middle Tennessee.
Now, the news continues on WKRN Channel 2 in Nashville with Bob Mueller, Cindy Benson, and Davis Nolan's weather.
Good evening, everyone. In our news tonight, it seems the Cold War is warming up tonight.
Now, the news continues on WKRN Channel 2 in Nashville with Bob Mueller, Cindy Benson, and Davis Nolan's weather.
Good evening, everyone. In our news tonight, a Murfreesboro...
This is Channel 2 News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Cindy Benson, making news tonight. The fighting intensified today in the Persian Gulf.
And now, the news continues with Channel 2 News at 6.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Ann Holt.
And now, the news continues with Channel 2 News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Ann Holt.
And I'm Bob Mueller.
You're watching Wkrn-Tv, Channel 2, Nashville. And now, Channel 2 News Nightside with John Clark and Kathy Egan. Rick Mitchell with weather, and Jeff Rhodes on sports.
Good evening, everyone. We're glad you could join us.
This is Channel 2 News at 5 with Ann Holt and Bob Mueller, meteorologist Davis Nolan, and the sports guy, Steve Phillips.
Good evening, everyone.
This is Channel 2 News at 5 with Ann Holt and Bob Mueller, meteorologist Davis Nolan, and the sports guy, Steve Phillips.
Good evening, everyone. The man they call the high priest of country music received a final tribute today from his family, his friends, and his fans.
And now, Channel 2 News at 5 with John Clark and Kathy Egan. Rick Mitchell with weather, and Jeff Rhodes on sports.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining.
And now, the news continues with Channel 2 News at 6.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Ann Holt.
This is Channel 2 News at 6, Emmy Award winner for Best News Operation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Ann Holt.
You're watching Channel 2 News at 6 with your hometown news team. Ann Holt, John Siegenthaler, meteorologist Davis Nolan, and the sports guy, Steve Phillips. WKRN Channel 2 on your side. And now, Channel 2 News Nightside.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 10 at 10.
Your children are in school to learn, but who is teaching them? The story next on Channel 2 News at 6.
Also tonight, a new way to keep up with your latchkey kid. How you'll know when he's home.
And if you love the smell of fresh baked bread, you'll want to know why it's now considered a potential pollution problem. Good evening, I'm Ann Holt.
I'm John Siegenthaler. Channel 2 News at 6 is next.
You're watching News 2 this morning.
Storm Team meteorologist Davis Nolan, and Steve Phillips with sports. This is News 2 at 5. This is News 2 at 10.
Good evening, everyone.
This is News 2 at 10.
Random gunfire breaks out tonight, and a 17-year-old girl is caught in the crossfire. Good evening, I'm Stuart Maddox. It happened about 7:30 tonight in Cedar Hill Park.
This is News 2.
For their teachers.
From the campaign trail, we'll show you how Tennessee became such a key part of this presidential race.
I'm Michael Turco. A run around over water service near Lynchburg. It ain't right.
Good evening, I'm Reed Galen.
And I'm Ann Holt. The news is next.
This is News 2 at 6.
Metro.
It's Celebrity Day at the Vinny, so who's the biggest draw around here? I'm Melissa Penry. Coming up, a live report on who we think it is.
I'm Reed Galen.
And I'm Ann Holt.
This is News 2 at 6.
Well, my biggest concern is that the neighbor.
This is News 2 at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 2 at noon. It is Monday. It's December 29th, and here are the stories making news at this hour.
This is News 2 at 5. Middle Tennessee's first news.
This is News 2 at 6.
Now, News 2 at 5. First, fast, accurate.
Got a telephone call from work. Basically, brother-in-law's been shot.
A pawn shop owner is shot, and he shoots back, protecting his store from armed robbers. Hi, everyone. Welcome to News 2 at 5.
Now, News 2 at 6. First, fast, accurate.
After 5 days.
Now, News 2 at 6. First, fast, accurate.
I'm scared. It's scary to actually do a mission like this and people turn out dead.
7 are killed and 4 injured.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 this morning starts now. First, fast, accurate. News 2 this morning starts now.
The frozen precip is moving across the map, and Metro's salt trucks are ready. I'm News 2's Lilima Riggs. I'll have a live report.
And we are live in Clarksville, Tennessee. This is expected to be one of the hardest hit areas this morning. I'm News 2's Nancy Hoskins. A live report from here coming up.
And in a major late-night election development, the U.S. Supreme Court has made an historic ruling in the presidential election. A lot going on to talk about on this Wednesday morning, but first we say hello. It's the 13th day of December. I'm Victoria Hansen.
Good morning. I'm Neil Orn.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at noon starts now. First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 5 starts now.
It's hard to believe that people will be so generous to help us, not knowing us for anything.
They had no heat, no money, nowhere to turn for help. Tonight, News 2 viewers respond to a Nashville couple in need. Good evening, everyone. We will bring you their story in just a moment.
But first, round 2 of some serious winter weather is headed our way.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 5 starts now with breaking news.
Good evening, everyone. We do begin tonight with breaking news. A man wanted for multiple sex crimes in Nashville is caught in Alabama.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 6 starts now with developing news.
Good evening, everyone. We want to update you on some breaking news from News 2 at 5.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 6 starts now with breaking news.
Good evening. We have breaking news for you. We take you first to Sumner County, where crews are on the scene of a fatal train accident.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 10 starts now.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 6 starts now with breaking news.
Good evening. Authorities are on the scene of a deadly car accident west of Nashville.
It happened on Highway 100 near
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 6 starts now with developing news.
Good evening, everyone. We want to...
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 6 starts now.
He's standing down at the other end of the...
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 5 starts now.
A local Marine caught in the crossfire in Iraq. Tonight, his worried wife speaks out. Good evening, I'm Ann Holt.
And I'm Victoria Hansen, in tonight for Bob Mueller.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 6 starts now.
To deliver a message that none of these kiss-your-poo preachers are delivering. Don't pass that bill.
As the Reverend Fred Phelps, controversy follows him wherever he goes, and now this Kansas minister is preaching his controversial anti-gay message in Nashville. And as you can see, the controversy has followed him downtown. Good evening, everyone. It may be cold outside, but tempers could heat things up in Nashville later tonight.
That's right. A metro ordinance is up for a crucial vote tonight, and it's brought out supporters of gay rights and a nationally known and strident opponent of gay rights to Nashville.
First, fast, accurate. News 2 at 6 starts now.
If it gets hung up, take it down. Best thing to do with it is burn it.
In Putnam County, outrage over a mural and the 10 Commandments. Good evening. This is the exact opposite of every story you've seen before.
News 2 at 6 starts now.
Tonight, scrapping TennCare, a decision from the governor could come in just 2 days. TennCare's end would mean 400,000 Tennesseans would lose medical coverage. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Ann Holt.
Now on News 2.
Mall evacuated. A scare stopped shoppers in their tracks. Parking garage raid. A melee erupts in downtown Nashville. And the Music City Bowl is in the books. Could Minnesota make it 3 out of 4? This is News 2 at 6.
News 2 at 6 starts now.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a scare for shoppers in Murfreesboro.
A worker's discovery forced...
News 2 at 6 starts now.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Ann Holt. A sudden change in plans for Iraqi voting here in Nashville.
Now on News 2.
A 911 emergency. A call to report a fire lands in another city. The Pentagon unveils its round of budget cuts, and Tennesseans will feel the pinch.
Iroquois steeplechase is in town. I'm Brent Frazier. I'll introduce you to one of the competitors coming up.
News 2 at 6 starts now.
When seconds count, the last thing...
Live from Music City, News 2 this morning at 4 starts now.
Morning and welcome to the Little Friday here. I'm Neil Orm.
And I'm Julie Kranick.
Live from Music City, News 2 this morning at 4:30 starts now.
Good Friday morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Julie Kranick.
I am Neil Orm, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day out today, finally.
Yeah.
Live from Music City, News 2 Weekend starts now.
Good morning, everyone. It is 6 o'clock on this Saturday, May 13th. As you look out live on our News 2 City Cam on what looks like a pretty nice day. Hopefully no rain out there. We have Steeplechase Saturday.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far.
Now on News 2.
The local teacher involved in a sex scandal is back in jail tonight, accused of sending her 13-year-old victim pornographic videos.
Police are still searching for a missing toddler who disappeared from her Smyrna home 3 days ago.
Democrats are lashing out at oil companies for rising gas prices, blaming them for cashing in on the high prices.
And Governor Bredesen goes on the road trying to sell his new health care plan, Cover Tennessee. This is News 2 at 4.
Live from Music
Music City. News 2 at 4 starts now.
The former Warren County teacher who had a sexual relationship with her 13-year-old student is back in jail. Good afternoon. To stay out of jail, all Pamela Rogers Turner had to do was avoid contact with her 13-year-old victim and stay off the computer.
But the Warren County prosecutor says the former teacher violated both conditions of her probation.
Live from Music City, News 2 at 6 starts now.
Our intention is to be able to go out and feel relatively safe and not get in the crossfire.
But there's no right more fundamental than the right of self-defense.
A gun bill once again draws fierce debate on Tennessee's Capitol Hill. Good evening.
Live from Music City, News 2 at 6 starts now.
High gasoline prices and increased airline fares are not expected to keep travelers at home this Memorial Day weekend. Good evening. It's considered to be the unofficial start of the summer vacation season.
It is, and Americans by the millions are taking to the highways and...
Now on News 2.
All across Middle Tennessee, we honor the heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice serving our nation. Like countless others, he faced hard times after returning from Vietnam. Find out how this soldier turned his life around. And we examine how the faith of the American soldier has changed over the years. This is News 2 at 6.
Live from Music City, News 2 at 6 starts now.
For some American war veterans, the struggles continue even after stepping back on U.S. soil. Good evening, everyone. According to the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans, an
Live from Music City, News 2 at 6 starts now.
Our intention is to be able to go out and feel relatively safe and not get in the crossfire.
But there's no right more fundamental than the right of self-defense.
A gun bill once again draws fierce debate on Tennessee's Capitol Hill. Good evening.
Live from Music City, News 2 this morning starts now.
Good morning. It is 6 a.m. Thank you for joining us. I'm Julie Koenig.
I'm Neil Orn.
Live from Music City, Nashville's News 2 at 10 starts now.
Now on News 2 this morning, weekend after weeks of delays, students are finally taking the TN Ready exams. I'll tell you about some things they say are still wrong with the tests. And Donald Trump called off a rally when protests and violent outbursts got out of hand. You'll hear what his Republican presidential rivals are saying about him this morning.
Live from Music City, Nashville's News 2 this morning starts now.
Good morning, 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. Great to have you with us.
Live from Music City, this is Nashville's News 2 at 4:30.
Even me being able to remember to put it on my phone and then much less have it pop up and say, don't forget to get this.
Owners of iPods, iPads, and iPhones are going to think they have a brand new device starting tomorrow. Welcome back. Apple is releasing a new operating system that will change the way your mobile device works.
Live from Music City, Nashville's News 2 at 5 starts now.
A Sumner County mother and father are dead, and their own son is accused of killing them.
Good evening, everyone. Police discovered the bodies Monday night inside the family home.
Live from Music City, this is Nashville's News 2 at 10.
Happening now, a plan for a new system to cut down on traffic and connect two sides of town moves forward, but not everyone is ready to get on board. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Mueller. Tonight, the Metro Council approved the mayor's capital spending plan.
Now, Good Morning Nashville on News 2.
We're following breaking news right now this morning. This is a live look at the command post as the search continues for the man.
breaking news alerts and a forecast to plan your day with Neil Ord, Nikki Burdine, and meteorologist Jared Plushnick. This is Good Morning Nashville on News 2.
The fallout for Nashville Mayor Megan Barrett.
Should have been in NASCAR, you know.
New video tonight of a dangerous chase. The driver cutting off other cars, weaving in and out of traffic, putting everybody on the road at risk. And this while the suspect shows little remorse.
Now, News 2 at 6.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Eric Egan.
And I'm Haley Wilgus. We talked to the Laverne.
Now, News 2 at 10.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Egan.
I'm Samantha Fisher. We begin tonight with breaking news that...
Get rid of it. That's the call from several lawmakers and protesters. They want the bust of a Confederate general out of the state capitol. A community prayer vigil as the fight for racial justice and change grows stronger each day. Plus, a local police officer hangs up his badge saying the stress was just too much to handle.
Now, News 2 at 6.
A new wave of calls to get rid of a controversial bus that sits inside the state capitol. A small group gathered, but their voices were loud and state lawmakers listened. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alex Dennis.
And I'm Bob Mueller. Lots of movement on Legislative Plaza tonight. Lawmakers inside discussed several bills that centered around Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest and his bust.
WKRN Channel 2 on your side.
You're watching News 2, WKRN, Nashville.